the policy level and direct my first question to Minister Rosiński. Minister, Poland has been implemented and shaping digital governance and also investing in sustainability and resilience of national systems. What are lessons learned and what lessons are the most relevant when we talk about implementation of AI in national systems? Um, Maybe the other one. Maybe other mic. Maybe other microphone will work. Yeah.
Good afternoon, first of all, and thank you very much for the invitation to be in such important panel. And maybe the first point about the Polish approach and our priorities as Ministry of Digitalization in Poland. The crucial thing is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity. That was also our priority during Polish presidency in the European Union Council. Second is, of course, AI, new technologies, and digital cooperation, especially digital cooperation between other countries, not only EU countries, also non-EU countries. And if we think about cyber security, for us very important is critical infrastructure, safety data, vulnerable data that we support also for local government, like energy sector, water pipes, healthcare. That is the main point nowadays. Microphones. Okay, maybe it's too loud, a little. Critical infrastructure. I think it's the crucial point in every country. We cannot imagine how can we run the business if we have no energy, no water, and our data is not enough protected. And we support also local government. We create local center cybersecurity, and that is connected with digital skills, especially hygiene with this area. And cybersecurity is linked with AI, with trustworthy AI. That is the also important thing if we use AI, especially national LLMs, and how can we train the national data. That's why in Poland we've built also Polish LLMs. The name is Bielik. This is one public LLM. And the second one is Bielik. That is the first one, Plum. The second is Bielik. That is with cooperation with academia, with private sector, and we support also. That can allow also be competitive for Polish business. That's whole. If we see this whole ecosystem, and we can also exchange our ideas and share our knowledge with other countries, that is the way, the proper way to be safe and to use trustworthy AI.
Thank you very much, Minister, for using beautiful examples of language model from Poland and their role in Polish ecosystem regarding both public sector and private sector, and for framing AI as a matter of public responsibility and resilience. And now let's move at the international level and have a look at the global dimension. I would like to ask a question to Atsuko Okuda. How can global standards ensure interoperability and resilience of AI systems across regions?
Thank you very much. First of all, good afternoon to all of you. And I would like to thank the organizer for inviting ITU, International Telecommunication Union. And as some of you may know, ITU is the oldest UN agency specialized for digital technology, and we have standardization work, including on the topic of AI. Now, what does AI standards do for all of us? Number one, it will enhance interoperability, which means that if a system or solution is developed in India that can talk to the system, as His Excellency mentioned, in Poland, and vice versa, and that will lower the investment cost, that will increase the efficiency. So what are those standards that could be useful because of the interoperability, and especially within the country as well as within the region or globally? So one concrete standard, oh, by the way, just to give you the magnitude, ITU has over 200 already approved AI standards, and 200 more are in the pipeline. So in total, we have about 500 standards in place as well as in the pipeline. So you can see there are many different standards which are available for everyone. So what are those standards? Number one, for the interoperability, we believe that data, the interface, and protocol are critical. For example, we have a shared data format that we can all use. Otherwise, how can I share my data with you with a different data format? Two, standardized API so that system-to-system communication will be smooth. And three, of course, communication protocol. Now, because and based on these standards, we have more, how can I say, comprehensive standards. For example, AI for network automation, multimedia AI processing standards, as well as machine-to-machine data sharing, the frameworks, for example. And second, we also have a harmonized terminology, vocabulary, and reference architectures. Because when I talk to, it's not only you, but with anyone, some aspect of AI, how do we know that we understand the same thing, right? So this taxonomy, vocabulary, and the reference architecture is critical for interoperability and for us to be able to develop and exchange data or develop the algorithm together. So we have our AI model life cycle definition. So I know what you are referring to, and you know what I'm referring to. 3, we have a conformance and testing related standards so that we can test, validate, and we have also conformance specifics that we use as a standard to validate that what you are sharing is what I can validate. So this, I hope, the standards are useful for enhancing the interoperability as well as to enhance the collaboration within the country as well as across the regions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Standards are very important pillar of building trust. Another is inclusive governance. Changatai, how does multi-stakeholder cooperation translate into real public trust in AI governance?
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the invitation. And I'd like to also to thank the organizers, Millennium and Poland, of course, for inviting me. Thanks. Now, for your question, for any process, I think, inclusivity breeds legitimacy and thereby trust. So if you have all the stakeholders who are affected by whatever policy that is, so you must have government, civil society, the technical community, and the private sector all talking to each other and giving their point of views from their perspectives. I think then you can result in policies that have a greater buy-in. So if once people are involved in the process, they're more likely to adopt that process. And secondly, the transparency of the process also matters. People need to know how these decisions came about and also what was decided. You know, and this can be done with open consultations, public comment periods, and accessible documentation that builds confidence. This is basically the same model that has built the internet to what it is now. You have the public comment period, etc., and then these are adopted. The IGF as well shows that this works. The Internet Governance Forum is a multi-stakeholder dialogue, and within our framework, we discuss, AI governance as well, and a lot of other things, misinformation, disinformation, etc. And this approach can anchor AI governance in legitimacy. Trust as well is built locally, so these discussions should not just be happening at a global level and then trickle down. Local communities should be able to contribute in some manner. And this process should be a cycle, so the feedback loop should be down but also up. So there's a resonance going on there. And then I think lastly, accountability mechanisms is also very, very important. So multi-stakeholder cooperation without clear accountability methods, people will not trust it because they need to know if they have an issue, where can they go and express that concern, and that it will be dealt with in some manner or function. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I couldn't agree more. Trust is also built locally, and that's why I would like to direct my next question to Odess. How can community-driven digital ecosystems can contribute to building trust to AI locally?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I say I'm Odess, and saying thank you for the invitation to join this panel. To give context to community participation, both at the innovation level and at the policy level, I would like to start with where Changatai just finished, which is that community is a big stakeholder and a big participant in the multi-stakeholder framework. If you think about deploying AI solutions, especially for public services, then you realize that the inclusivity is what builds trust. The ability to deploy AI and to be consumed by every citizen is at the core of the trust between the users and the providers of the services. So taking into account that community, making sure that it's included. I'll give an example. If you think about linguistic diversity that is there in many of the countries of this world, you realize that if you build such a product or an AI solution and it's in a language that only 20%, 50% of the population understands, then the trust is broken between the provider, which is the public sector, and that part of the population, which is the citizens. The second part is that in the innovation cycle as well, we've seen on and on AI being deployed, but it doesn't reflect the realities of certain communities. And that's both, you can think about it linguistically, you can think about it contextually, you can think about it in different forms and shapes of text in different domains. So the participation of the community into that, in ensuring that the innovation and the policy level align with the needs and the realities of those particular communities are very important. To finish off, I think that communities or citizens are also a big part on how AI systems are improved, because once you deploy such a system and you don't have a feedback loop, then you realize that those particular technologies only work for some time and the adoption goes down after some time. So I think those three things are very key in building trust. First, the inclusivity part of it. Second, the participation in the innovations as well. And lastly, the feedback mechanism for how those services are being consumed, are being used, and what can be improved.
Thank you very much. Trust also can influence economic confidence and cross-border collaboration. That's why I would like to direct my next question to JJ. Does regulatory alignment directly influence international trade? What is your perspective and observation, if you could share experience from in the Polish Chamber of Commerce?
Well, I will, good afternoon all. I will just share the experience from the perspective of Poland in EU and India. Normally, all are saying a lot of regulatory is always, dishearten the business and the investments. But I think in this particular case, if it comes to the AI, I think we need a guidebook, because without that, everything can go haywire. So if we look at the regulation, which the EU AI Act, which has been implemented in 2026, I think in a way, it makes a kind of a issue for the investors. But on the other hand, if you have the clear guidelines, it's always very good in the lieu of the India EU FTA that the Indian companies will be ready for deployment of the AI algorithms and the other things within Europe. Now let's take the example also how EU, even businesses are saying that, well, the regulations are very tough, the compliance is very tough, but EU is also doing from their own side to make it easier for the businesses. I can use the example here from 2025, where in France there are 10 AI companies from India which are actually part of the accelerator program. And EU is also ready to give a sandbox solution for all the regulations. So in all, my perspective is you need a kind of a control, especially on the generative AI, and you need some kind of a control on the AI. So the rule book which EU has given, it will be alike, I would say it's a playbook for all the AI companies involved. And I think the India should take the advantage of that, because if they are already prepared to adhere to the rules, then I think the entry will be easier for the companies. So I definitely support the regulation, because in this particular matter of AI, we need regulation, because if we see the other countries, I'll not take the names, one is using for policing its own people, and second is using it only for making the money. So yes, it's good, but with sense.
Thank you very much. In our discussion, we have also three representatives of the private sector who know practical aspects very well because they have to deal with all these challenges on a daily basis. So I would like to start with Mariusz Kura. Mariusz, how do you scale AI solutions across regions while managing regulatory divergence?
Thank you, Lydia, and good afternoon, everyone. Distributed software development for the international IT companies is not new. We have started practicing this at Millennium 10 years back when we, together with opening the office, the delivery center in Pune, Maharashtra, here in India. And simple practice to scale up and be fast is to have exactly the global offices. And like our development team can build some solution, let's say in one day and deploy it. And the next day business in Europe can verify if it's working as it was expected. If not, then our development team in India can fix it even on the same day. So that's the one way how we've been scaling up so far. But the challenge nowadays is exactly how to scale up and follow all the regulations, yeah, and how to work for the different regions, for the different countries, where we have exactly like for the public sector, a lot of rules, and hopefully from ITU we have as well 200 certifications. So yeah, the way how we can standardize it, standardizations. So AI engineers and AI solution providers in India need to learn and need to be compliant with all those standards. And it's very difficult nowadays because it's so fast. It's changing almost like every week, yeah? And how to exactly follow that? At Millennium, recently we have developed as well one dedicated solution, which is the AI compliance suite. And this tool is quite complex. It's not only covering the governments and compliance area, but as well is helping the organizations to use the right AI tools. Nowadays, the enterprises, they are using, in a while, Edita will be talking about the Copilot, but there are plenty of the different tools used in the enterprises. And our solution is helping the organizations to navigate the users to the right solution. And what does it mean, the right solution? For example, it could be as well from the cost-effective perspective. Like, for example, shall we use this and utilize the tokens from that provider, or maybe another provider is having the better license practice and policy offering. So that's, I believe, what can help, yeah, kind of that solutions for the IT solution providers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for beautiful example how AI can help manage AI. And now let's have a look at infrastructure. I have a question to Pramod. From an infrastructure standpoint, what does trusted AI require on the ground in terms of data sovereignty, in terms of secure compute and resilient digital backbone?
Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So when AI starts moving, getting adopted into public services, critical national security deployments, the trust moves not just on the models, but moves from the models to and data to the underlying foundation. When I say foundation, where is the model running? What compute is it tuning? Where is it running on? Do you control the data? Is there, what jurisdictional laws apply for all of these layers? And then there is network, and then there is, the security components around it. So all in all, there are three questions that one need to ask before you say that you fully trust AI, right? The first question is on the control. The second one is, can you tell me what happened, right? The AI system, will you be able to explain what happened across each of these layers? And third one is it up? So the control part is like we just discussed, control not just on the data sovereignty just doesn't mean that data stays local. But what we've seen from our customers asking, is there any other jurisdictional law that can, override saying, hey, I need full visibility of that data, of that infrastructure, auditability, and so on and so forth. So I think that's do you have the keys is the key question one needs to ask. The second one is on the explainability, on the visibility, and not just on the model monitoring, whether I am getting accurate data, but overall on data, who accessed, what is the governance around it, what happened in the network. So across all the foundation, if you don't have full visibility, you will not be able to explain why a system took a decision, right? Because now we are talking about critical infrastructure. The decision it takes can impact. The impact could be, disastrous. The third one is again resilience. So now the resilience, by resilience we mean can AI stay up? Let's say if it is in a healthcare in a remote tier city, a hospital deploys an AI to diagnose the system. A patient walking in at 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning, the system needs to be up, right? It needs to be resilient, like any other financial system. But here the implications are huge, right? So AI is moving from being just a software service to AI as a foundation where all of these elements needs to come together before anyone can say I fully trust. I think that's the trust part.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it is common knowledge that technology are widely diffused and used only when they are trusted. So, and sometimes human factor is essential, is important barrier in AI adoption. That's why I would like ask Edyta, who works with users a lot, what determines whether AI is truly adopted by teams?
Excellent question. Thank you so much for that. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for all the comments. So we've been talking about infrastructure, about security, cybersecurity, about the legal aspects of AI. However, we should remember that deployment is technology, but the users, they want to change. We want to change the way how they are acting with AI. From the practical perspective, because I'm responsible for driving adoption. In the past, it was the topic of the modern work. Now we have AI. And we should remember that majority of users of AI are end users. They are not people who are taking part in conferences like this one. They are not that fluent with technology, but in the same time, we expect from them to be fluent and to change the way how they work. So from my experience, it's extremely important to communicate in the right way, in a simple word, in simple words and simple examples how AI can be the powerful tool. Not because of the features, because we all know that features are not driving anything, nor business, nor processes, nor business scenarios, whatever we have in our minds. And in AI, everybody can use AI in a different way. This is the biggest challenge from the change management perspective as well, because we can have the best technology, the best model, but if the users, they don't know how to use it, if they don't know where it leads to, it's hard to expect that we're gonna succeed on scale.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all of you for sharing your views in the first round of questions. In the second round, we will turn from strategy to implementation, and I will ask all of you for a very short reflection from this level. And Minister, what is the most complex operational challenge governments face when deploying AI in public services? What is your view?
Maybe first of all, I would like add something shortly. Of course, what JJ mentioned about AI Act, that is very important for also Polish perspective, and how can also see that perspective other countries except EU. That is important, that how can we train the data, how can we use the data, and how it will be the future or generative AI. That we have to use, of course, wisely AI. That is very important the final goal and how it will be useful especially for public sector and especially for our citizens. If we look in that ways, that will be good for everyone. And of course, implementation of AI in public sector and of course when use also this data private companies, that is important to see how can we also fight against deep fakes and any false information. Thank you.
True. Thank you very much. Atsuko, where do you see the biggest implementation gap today? Is it standards, lack of standards, skills, governance? What it is?
Thank you for this very important question. I believe that there is perhaps awareness challenge as well as the capacity challenge, because I think that this whole discussion on standards came as a surprise to many of the participants. Actually, this is not the first session I'm talking about standards. This is actually third during the summit. But I am not sure, unless you're the standardization person, you don't normally think about, okay, there are building blocks available, right? That I can start building something based on the building blocks. So we are trying to promote the importance of standardization and using the standard so that you don't have to start from the scratch. But second, what do you do after you become aware that it exists? There, I believe we need a lot of different capacities. The capacity to articulate the issue. What is it that you or we want to address? Sometimes AI may or may not be the answer. Some other technologies may be able to help you better. So I believe this articulation is a huge maybe opportunity and challenge as well. After you articulate, how do you plan, how do you translate that articulated issue into an operational project and initiative? I believe is another layer of a capacity challenge. So I can see that there are many countries, companies, agencies who want to take advantage of the AI, but I hope that this discussion is helpful to concretize those steps moving forward. Thank you, Ilya.
Thank you very much. My next question will be directed to our technical experts, Pramod and Mariusz. And the question is, in real AI projects, what most often slows down implementation?
I'll go first. So definitely not technology, because I think we've seen technology is always almost ahead, and very true over the last couple of years, right? The advancement that have happened. So despite advanced technology being available, despite the GPUs being available, the platforms being available, we still don't see too many monetizable AI use cases, right? And that's a big problem. Everybody is trying to figure out, where my ROI is, what is that use case, and that again boils down to, few key aspects. One is on the biggest friction is on data, right? So we've seen, especially in India, we've seen many pilots, right? And almost 80% of those pilots don't make it to production. And the key reason is on the data. Data is siloed, data is not ready for AI scale, there's no governance built around data. right? And that becomes that's why POC is, you know, you use a good set of data and you show value, but then when it comes to production, there's it's almost most of the times, you know, they don't have enough data to get the value out of it. The second, again, you know, AI cuts across in an organization. AI cuts across many functions. There is the technology team is saying, you know, we are ready with this, but then there is legal aspects. There is an IT guy sitting, you know, I cannot allow you to do this, so on and so forth. So that alignment is not thought through, right? And that also again slows down the adoption. So I think these are the primary, and then again, you know, the trust factor comes in. The third part is how much do you really trust AI to do? You know, do you see the how much risk comfort do you have? Is there a human afterthought required for every decision it makes? So I think that organizations need to choose that balance on, or choose the best use case where, you know, it's balanced without requiring too much of human intervention. Can I deploy this? I think those are the key factors that we see, especially in India, that are slowing down that adoption.
It seems that whatever we are discussing, infrastructure or other challenges, human factor is always at the end and behind everything. Mariusz, is your experience similar, or do you have different observations?
I totally do agree with Pramod. It's not us technology who is slowing down it. Maybe sometimes, but it's many times on the business side, and especially for the medium-sized enterprises. If they don't know if they can work with some AI solutions, or if they don't know if they can take the AI solutions, for example, from India, they will step back and they will go to the more trusted local providers. So I believe that the standards that we are talking, it will help us a lot of. So that's my practice.
Okay, Edyta, what is the most common human barrier from your view?
Thank you for this question. So first of all, we talk again about humans, the most important factor, in the same time the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity. From my perspective, I think that while talking with users, because today I'm a user voice, I can hear very often that people, they are reflecting what's going to be next. If I'm going to be replaced by AI, what's in it for me? And we also need to find the message as organization, no matter if public or a private sector, how to communicate all of those changes that are coming. Another topic I'm facing while talking with the users, they basically don't know what to expect next, because as we have noticed that AI is another revolution, and the revolutions are getting one after another very shortly. And when the users, they can hear, okay, I should be more productive. I don't want to be more productive anymore, right? I don't want to do faster meetings. I don't want to do faster notes, right? It's nice. But in the same time, my brain and the number of different impulses I'm getting from outside, it's simply too high. Our brains are not capable to manage that in the right way. We're closer to depression, and we know in which direction it goes. So how we are communicating AI as a part of the tool is extremely important. So be careful, what are you talking to your users? Don't tell them that they will be more productive, but maybe the quality of the work gonna be better. Maybe they don't have to repeat the same tasks every day. But we must be very, very careful what kind of wording we're using in regards AI adoption. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My next question will be to Changatai, because he looks at these challenges from the global perspective and has access to data from all regions. What, in your view, what would be the most important practical step to strengthen public trust in AI deployment?
Thank you very much for that question. And by the way, I totally agree with you. I think the first one is quite obvious, inclusive participation in AI decision making. So ensuring that the affected communities or the affected individuals do have input into how the systems operate and before they are deployed, so not after the fact. We shouldn't be fixing things after the fact, but we should garner input before the deployment. The second one is independent oversight, so establishing review bodies that include civil society and the technical experts, so not just the regulators and industry, but a 360 approach to it. And then also impact assessments. I think we should have impact assessments which are published on a regular basis and which are also understandable by ordinary citizens. I think that's also very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are approaching the end of our session, so I would like to ask Aldis for a quick comment. What ensures AI remain inclusive in real-world implementation?
I think there are a few key factors to look through when you talk about inclusivity. I think the first is to look who it is meant for and to ensure that they are accounted for. And this can happen in different forms. For example, when you look at datasets that power AI models, most of the time they tend to come from, let's say, the global north. Meaning that they won't be very contextually aware when it comes to when they're deployed in the global south. So there's that need to contextualize the AI systems being developed to ensure that they really respond to the users they are meant for. I think the second part of ensuring inclusivity is also ensuring the local value creation. I think we've seen too often imputation of AI systems, but not the understanding of how, especially small nations, can participate in building and deploying AI for their interests. So I think those two things are very, very critical. And the other part is also, I guess, the linguistic perspective that I mentioned before. Looking at the linguistic diversity that exists around the globe and ensuring that people are able to consume that particular technology being developed. I think when we often think about AI and how it's deployed, we tend to look at the first 20% of the market, but the rest 80% also needs to be accounted for. So, yeah.
So, thank you very much. Last question, and I will ask JJ for very brief one-sentence answer. What creates long-term confidence in cross-border AI investments from your perspective?
Well, I think I can simply say it's a mix of everything. The involvement from the right people, I would rather say the people who are on the top, who are taking the serious decision investments, because that's very important. And the people who are involved, they should know what they want it for, because AI deployment is a big thing, but you should know what you want to solve with it. So that's very important.
Thank you very much. It's time to wrapping up our discussion, and it is clear after today's almost 1 hour discussion that trusted AI is not built by technology alone. It requires public leadership on one hand, interoperable standards, resilient infrastructure, shared accountability, and of course human readiness and openness to build trust. And of course, trust is not something what is automatic because it must be designed, governed, and implemented, and of course, continuously earned. So thank you very much to all our distinguished panelists and experts, and to all participants from the audience for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mariusz.
Thank you.